Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of StormCast. I'm your host, Joe Pisani. Great to have everyone here on this episode with us. We've got a couple things that we're going to be talking about in tonight's episode. I have a great panel with us tonight of our team members. We've got Dan up in up in Wisconsin. We have Jesse over in Iowa. We also have Laura with us this evening up in Pennsylvania. She'll tell us about the severe weather they've had up there the last couple of days. And we have Rob, our tropical weather expert, to be with the videos, which we'll be talking about the upcoming hurricane season and kind of what you're looking forward to and expectations. And I'm Joe here in the beautiful, hot and dry Hotlanta, Georgia this evening. So, guys, it is great to have you guys on here with us. Tonight's Stormcast is going to be a little bit different than some of the Stormcasts we've had in the past. Not quite having the presentation. It's going to be more of just a discussion-based Stormcast, kind of open-ended discussion concerning, obviously, the May severe season. Let's start right there. We all have really been tracking all these storms this past month, and it really, compared to last May, it has been quite a insane May, an insane May season that we've had so far this season. I mean, Jesse, out there in Iowa, you went chasing the other day, so kind of tell us about your chase out there in Iowa and kind of what you saw, what that was like for you on those last couple chases that you've had here in May.
The first one I went on, I believe that one was EF2 that I missed by just a few miles. That was the one down by Iowa City.
Yeah, and that did some damage, right?
Yes, there was some damage down there. And then just last night I went out on another chase, and I ended up stopping that chase because the tornado was rain wrapped at that time.
Yeah, and it was dark too, so
It was.
Yeah, very dark. So definitely made the right call there, not to continue the chase into the evening and overnight hours. So, how do you know by chance like how many tornadoes y'all have had there in Iowa these past couple of weeks? Probably at least what, 20 or so. That one day you guys had like.
I knew that number earlier. It was I think it's been like 19 just in the last 7 days alone.
Wow. Yeah, that is a lot of tornadoes. And I know with you, Dan, up there in Wisconsin, you said June is your main tornado month up there, right?
That's our peak month, yeah. So, anytime now, we typically start to see our severe weather. It takes a little longer for us up here in the north to get that warmer weather. That last pattern that went through, we were actually in a couple of risks for a few of those days because it was originally thought that front was going to go a little bit higher and it stayed to our south. And it was particularly interesting in that situation because literally 20, 30 miles, there was like a 20-degree difference. And some of the time the storms got further up this way, they just kind of lost their punch. But yeah, we're heading into our busy season. Yep.
Yeah, Wisconsin, you guys can get some pretty crazy tornadoes there. Hopefully, as long as make it past that Janesville wall.
There is that Janesville wall. Got to be hashtag Janesville wall. Yeah, and see up here, and I think I mentioned it before on StormCast. We don't typically see those big, huge HP supercells like the plains do. Our tornadoes are dangerous in a sense where we get a lot of EF0s, which may not sound like a lot, but they spin up along the front. And so many times they're so brief, they can pop up in between radar scans. We won't even know that we have one until we have damage because it popped up and dissipated in between scans. That's what makes tornadoes in Wisconsin dangerous. Plus, we have a lot of terrain to deal with, so spotting them makes it a little bit more challenging, depending on where in the state you are. But
Yeah. I mean, speaking of terrain, kind of what's the terrain? Is it more hilly and pretty wooded, or I mean, it's not Iowa with cornfields.
No, it's usually pretty wooded no matter where you go. Further north is more wooded, more rural. Um, as you go west, it actually becomes a bit more hilly towards the Mississippi River side, especially towards the southwest, towards Iowa. South central, southeast, I mean, then you're dealing with populated areas. So those aren't always the best to chase because of traffic. So it depends on where you are, but it's not open and flat like it is out in the plains.
Yeah.
Not until you cross into Illinois.
Got it. So if you go south, that's where it kind of opens up
a bit more, yeah.
Got it. Got it. Jesse, looks like you've got a map here. So kind of talk to us about here these confirmed tornadoes here. This is from what, May 16th to May 30th. So this is just the last 2 weeks. Wow, that was a lot more than I thought there was.
Yeah. There was 67 EF0s, 91 EF1, 27 EF2, 18 EF3, and the EF4 statistic is wrong because there has been now 2 confirmed EF4s.
Yes,
and 22 unrated so far.
22 that they're probably still doing surveys on. Wow. Look at that map, guys. I mean, look at northeast Oklahoma into southwest Missouri, just that cluster there.
I'm looking at that pocket in eastern Iowa and or Indiana rather, and western Ohio.
I mean, we've had some pretty major storms here this May. So, I mean, let's just kind of, obviously it all kind of started, this here kind of shows the main, not that we didn't have tornadoes in early May at all. We did, but this, extended outbreak that we've had here in the second half of the month, 226 tornadoes in a 2-week period. That is a lot of tornadoes for like 2 weeks.
It is.
I mean, typically in a year, in one entire year, the U.S. average is about 1,000 for an entire year. We're nearly almost a quarter of that average in 2 weeks. So that's pretty significant there. And even in Pennsylvania, there's been tornadoes. Laura, you've been chasing here this month as well. Tell us about your chase experiences in May.
I was out last Thursday. There's a line of storms that moved through over Ohio, but they weakened as they approached the PA line. And then Tuesday, May 28th, I was out chasing in northern Butler County. I intercepted 5 storms. One of them was severe. And then on Saturday, May 26th, I got a severe storm. And that severe storm turned tornado warned when it got over to Westmoreland, Indiana County. That's like a county or 2 over from Butler.
Yeah.
In PA, chasing is very challenging because of the road network. There are a lot of hills and trees. And sometimes it's very difficult to reposition because you may not be able to get a view of the storm.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point that you bring up there, that chasing and Dan was talking about it earlier, terrain has such a big impact when it comes to chasing. And I mean, I kind of want your guys' feedback on, we've seen a lot of chasers out this month, obviously, some crazy chaser convergence. Do you guys feel that, the chaser convergence, so to say, is getting worse as the years have gone on, say in the past 5 years? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yes.
I think they have.
I think so. Not in PA, but in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas.
As a matter of fact, now that you mentioned that, Joey, the other day, I forget what day it was exactly, but there was the storms over in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, I counted roughly 300 chaser beacons around this one cell alone.
Wow.
Wow.
I remember that.
You remember
I think-
that, Rob?
Yeah, I remember that.
I think some of it too is that more people are becoming active on social networks about chasing. So I do think that there's an increase, but I think the appearance of the increase is higher. That it may just, some of it just seems like it's more active because more people are more public with it.
Yeah.
Whereas
I can see
before,
that.
you would have a lot of chasers, maybe not on a social network. They go out there, chase their storms, they collect their science and their data, and then they'll post, things later and get their pictures out. But now we have so many useful platforms for social networking that if you are a chaser, I don't think there's any. I would say that most chasers are on a social network. So I think we're just more aware of more chasers around us because of those.
Yeah. That's a good point you bring up there. And honestly, another thing that has been absolutely crazy about um, this, month of severe weather is the number of tornado emergencies that we've had. I mean, uh,
Insane.
it has been. I mean, we've had the Jefferson City tornado emergency. We had the tornado emergency down south of Joplin. We had the tornado emergency in Ohio. We had there was another one that I can't remember off the top of my head, but we've had at least I think 4 tornado
Yep.
emergencies just in the past like 8 or 9 days.
Was
Yeah.
Kansas
Alone.
City one or no?
I believe it was.
Yes.
Yep.
That was the other one. Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've had. I mean, May 27th alone, we had 57 tornadoes. I mean, 51 tornadoes. Excuse me, 51 tornadoes just on that one day. I mean, most of the days we've had 15 or more tornadoes between May 17th and May 29th. Every day, 15 or more, with the exception of May 25th, there were only 8 tornadoes. May 20th, there were 11 tornadoes. And May 28th, there were 14 tornadoes. All those other days had 15 or more tornadoes. Most notable tornadoes, obviously, that we've had in this outbreak would be the Eldon Jefferson City tornado that we discussed. That was rated an EF3, correct?
Nope.
I remember watching that one and how distinct that one was on radar.
Are you,
Yeah.
are you talking about the one up in Dayton?
No, the Jefferson City, Missouri.
Missouri.
Okay, that one was rated EF3.
Yeah. Then we had the Reno, Oklahoma tornado. That was also an EF3. The Salina, Ohio one,
Yep.
that was the Dayton, Ohio one, just north of Dayton. That was EF3. And
I thought that one went 4.
It
Did
did.
that go forward?
It got updated today as an EF4.
Okay, so they
Yeah.
did update that one to an EF4. Wow. So yeah, I mean, oh yeah, okay, I see it here. I'm looking at it. Estimated maximum wind speeds of 70 miles per hour on that one.
Yes.
So wow. And then we had the Lawrence, Kansas tornado. That was a mile wide. That was on May 28th there, and that was also EF4 as well. So those are the
Yeah.
2 EF4s that we've had.
And well, see, that's the F. Never mind. I want the EF scale. I'll come back to it in a second.
Okay. Not only that, another thing, I know it's been somewhat related to all these storms that we've had, is the flooding. I mean, the flooding there in Oklahoma. Did you guys see some of that video that we've posted on
Yep,
our
that was
Twitter and things like that? I mean,
What I was going to mention is because we were throwing out different tornado ratings.
mhm.
For those that aren't maybe necessarily aware of how strong exactly an EF4 tornado is, an EF4 tornado is a rating of estimated wind speeds of between 166 miles an hour all the way up to 200 miles per hour.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's stronger than a category. That's like Category 5 hurricane.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Category 5 hurricane is wind speeds greater than 155 miles per hour. So
And that would be like an EF3.
yeah,
An EF3 is 136 to 165.
yeah. So I mean, that just puts it in perspective for you. Now, obviously, hurricanes have much longer duration of that wind occurring, whereas a tornado can be anywhere from, just a couple 10, 15 seconds up to, if it's a long track tornado, can be on the ground for over an hour. But yeah, I mean, in the Dayton region, there were 80,000 people that lost power on May 28th and the 29th. So, I mean, it had widespread power outages there, that in that region as well. So, it has been quite an active May. Definitely a lot more active than last May, for sure.
yeah.
Hands down.
All of last year was relatively mild.
Yeah. So it kind of makes me interested, Dan, like what it's going to be up there as we transition into June with severe weather season for the northern plains coming up.
And one statistic I remember from last year is that, so now we just went over how many tornadoes we've had of each scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember correctly, last year, we didn't have a single EF4 or EF5 tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Not one.
Yep.
Entire year. And we've had 2 EF4s just in like the past week.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a lot.
It is. Yep. It is. What else has been pretty insane? And Rob, you can talk with me about this for sure. Is this southeast heat wave that we've had now for the past 2 weeks? I mean, what's it been like there? I mean, you're down in Central Florida. What's it been like down there for you guys?
It's been really hot. The last week it's been the mid to upper 90s for the highs. Lows have been the mid 60s, maybe up to 80s. Heat indexes today were up to almost 100.
Wow. That's really hot. I mean, you're down closer to the Gulf of Mexico there.
Yep.
So that's why when you're talking about your nighttime temperatures, it does cool down a little bit more there, down to the 60s. We haven't really, in our nighttime temperatures, we haven't dropped below 70 degrees in over a week.
Yeah.
For our nighttime temperatures are typically 72, 73, maybe close to 70. We're finally expecting to have a day where we're below 90 degrees this weekend. Today, I think, was 93. Right now, at nearly 11 o'clock at night, it's still 81 degrees. 81 at 11 o'clock at night.
Phew.
Yeah. 83 here.
It has been crazy. And also, like, I was mowing my yard yesterday, right? And because of how dry it's been, we haven't had any rain in, I think, a little over 2 weeks now. And we're going to get like those drought cracks in the ground in some places. So, I mean, it's definitely one of those, we call them here in the South, we call them flash droughts, where you'll have, an abnormally usually 3 to 6 week period, depending on, sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer. You get a 3 to 6 week period where you have like this flash drought, and you don't have any rain for a couple weeks, and you have only had temperatures. That's exactly what we're having here this year.
I'm sure there's plenty of people in Oklahoma right now that would be willing to trade some of their rain for your drought.
I
Oh
would
yeah,
love to give some water.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
It's not too often that the surf conditions in Oklahoma are better than California.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no.
Uber speedboat service. I mean that business is booming out there
It's
right now.
terrible. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
so
Yeah.
much, so
not
much
good.
flooding.
Not good.
Yeah, it is absolutely unbelievable. And with all the dam releases and everything like that to keep the dams from breaking, and
The
I
wind
mean,
was picking up so high the other day in Oklahoma, they had to issue a small craft advisory.
Wow.
yeah,
No, they
Wow,
didn't.
really?
I was just kidding.
I
so
was about to say.
yeah,
So,
I mean,
and I
Jeff,
don't mean to make jokes about people's misfortune. That's terrible what they're going through, and it's a lot of damage and a lot of flooding, and it's a
yes,
serious issue.
yeah, I mean, it's been record flooding there on the Arkansas River. I mean,
Yeah,
absolute
Oh yeah.
record flooding here in the past 50 plus years. So it's really serious out there, and
it is.
we're starting to slowly come out of this pattern where we have this, which is what caused all these severe storms, where we've had this trough that has been locked up over the Central Plains and this strong ridge that we've had over the Southeast. That ridge is
Yep.
now starting to break down just ever so slightly as we transition into hurricane season. That Bermuda high shifting back eastward, more over the Atlantic, getting away from the eastern U.S. coast. Um, Meanwhile, Jesse, I mean, what have temperatures been like there for you in Iowa? I mean, have you guys even broken 80 degrees?
Not yet, but they're talking about possibly 90 for tomorrow.
No.
Wow. So I guess we're sending some. What about you, Dan? I mean, what's May been like up there in Wisconsin? What are you guys getting?
We've had a lot of rain. I don't know what the official number is. I would guess that it's above average. Um, as far as temperature wise goes, um, I feel like it's fairly average. I mean, we've been our highs now in the last couple of weeks been 60s, 70s. That's about where we should be. Really, May was cold. The last couple of weeks have been a bit more towards average. I just pulled up a forecast for us. I mean, tomorrow we're supposed to get up to 82. That's probably going to be the highest that we've been so far this year, I think.
Wow. Yeah, sounds right.
And then upper 60s, low 70s through the start of next week. So
Not
I
bad.
feel like that seems about right. I don't know what the
Yeah.
average is technically, but that seems to be about right.
Well, I know. I was looking at the, and I'll share this here. Give me just a second. So the next 6 to 10 days here, they're across portions of the upper plains into your area. It's supposed to be above average
Yeah.
temperature, especially across portions of the Dakotas and Minnesota, and then still hanging around southern Georgia, southeast Alabama, and much of Florida, including Rob's area, is going to be fairly well above average.
Yeah,
It looks
looking at
like.
that map, I'm the first gradient of above normal.
Yeah.
So, but that
And-
seems to be about right.
Yeah. And then precipitation really looks like the 6 to 10 day forecast. Kind of the Arkansas area, which isn't good. Again, that's that Arkansas River, Mississippi
good.
River. The flooding, they're probably in eastern Arkansas and northwestern Mississippi. It's just gonna be really bad. And then that even continues here in the day 8 to 14 period with that above average precip there. Dry conditions across the Northeast there for the start of June. So definitely interesting to note for sure. I mean, hopefully we'll get some rain here where we're at. We could definitely use some.
Oh yeah.
Not as much as that as Jesse's showing there. I mean, we don't need cars underwater and roads, under 2, 3 feet of water there. That's there in Oklahoma.
Now, is that 40 miles per hour or 40 knots?
Oh, the road sign there. I mean, yeah, I mean the flooding there. That's just
That's terrible.
unbelievable.
It's
That's
not
just
good.
unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, hearts definitely go out
Jeez.
to folks there. So, yeah, I mean, and now we've got another threat. We're still in severe weather season, and guess what's right around the corner?
Hurricane season.
Right. Hurricane season officially starting on June the 1st here, which will be this Saturday. And we've already had our first storm. That was a subtropical storm, Andrea, over there near Bermuda, which did stay out to sea. But looks like it's going to be a near average to slightly below average season, is what they're saying. But again, it only takes one.
Yep.
It only takes one, guys.
They're saying, yeah.
What
They're
do you?
saying,
Go ahead.
they're saying, predicting a likely 9 to 15 named storms. 48 could be hurricanes and 2 to 4 major hurricanes, which is 3,
Wow.
4, or 5.
Yeah, and I mean, again, all it takes is one of those 2 to 4 hurricanes making a U.S. landfall, and it could be a severe season. Interesting to note, last year was supposed to be a below average season, and the year before, I mean, we're supposed to be in a below average trend here for the next, pretty much 3 to 5 years. But we've been getting surprised the last couple of years. So we'll have to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if we, actually maybe get closer to that 20 named storms this year. We'll have to see how strong El Nino comes in. That's kind of one reason why I think they're forecasting, because of El Nino. But if it's not as strong, then we could get a couple more storms than we're expecting. So could be an interesting hurricane season for sure. We're already having our first name before the start of hurricane season. So yeah, any thoughts on this upcoming hurricane season, guys?
It's going to be interesting. I know that.
It will be. It will be. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted on all of that. Still have some ongoing severe weather out there. As you can see, got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here. This is in Texas. Most of these severe thunderstorm warnings that we currently have, these are most likely going to be for some large hail and some damaging winds. Not seeing, a whole lot of rotation there near the Crystal City area. Keep an eye on that area, though. There is a tornado watch that Storm Prediction Center still has out, I believe. That goes here. I know it's been trimmed. If I can get this here pulled up here. Share my screen here. So we still have 2 watches, that severe thunderstorm watch for portions of central Texas, and that tornado watch, which has been trimmed to 98. That goes until 11 p.m., I believe. 10 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 11 p.m. Eastern here. So that actually should just be about to expire now.
Yep.
Just a minute. Interesting to know, Jesse pointed this out to me earlier. So I'll let you kind of say it, Jesse. I believe that was the first tornado watch in, 11 years, something like that?
Yes. It was the, I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was like the 11 and first tornado warning or tornado watch for the National Weather Service El Paso in 11 years.
Yeah, that office had issued. That's what it was, yeah. So that was pretty impressive. Nonetheless,
and they didn't get a single one.
Yeah, but did they get anything though?
No, they didn't get any tornadoes. If you look at the storm reports here, all they got was about maybe 5 or 6 hail reports within that tornado watch area. There's been one tornado report today.
Maryland.
This was, in Maryland in Howard County. This was confirmed by a debris ball signature. And also credible video from the area. And the storm survey team will be going out tomorrow to assess that tornado there in Maryland. So definitely an interesting May. Severe weather still going on tomorrow. Slight risk again for portions of Wisconsin and west central Michigan into southern Virginia and the Carolinas. And then a marginal risk for Saturday. So, and then predictability right now too low for the next day 4 to 8 period. So hopefully we'll get a slower start severe weather-wise to June. But nonetheless, this is going to be a memorable May. Quite a memorable May in a lot of aspects. Severe weather, flooding, heat wave.
And when I find out who flipped that tornado switch, I'm going to come after you.
Yeah.
Says the talking Mountain Dew can.
Yeah.
I will throw Mountain Dew at your head.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we'll see what June has in store. Maybe it's our turn up here in the upper Midwest.
Yeah, you never know. It could be a crazy June up there. So as we wrap up this episode here of StormCast, final thoughts from everyone. Dan, we'll start with you here.
I guess final thoughts. The last final thoughts that we had from the last StormCast was being weather aware for snow and blizzards and things like that. So it's been a while, but if I were to do a final thought on this episode, I would be saying take a look at all of the damage and all the severe weather that we've had over the last week, really last 2 weeks. We've talked about it all episode, is the importance of being weather aware. And even if you're outside and you're under the risk for severe weather and you might not have anything at that moment, know what's near you, know what's coming in, and have an emergency action plan ready should you need it.
Excellent. Jesse, final thoughts this evening. The Talking Mountain Dew.
Kind of going on, continuing on from where Dan left off there, is do not rely on the sirens. Have the weather radio near you or within earshot, because a lot of the tornadoes that happened over the last month, some people did not hear the sirens at all.
Excellent point.
And
Excellent.
We only lost a few. We only lost a few lives.
Yeah, it could have been much worse for sure.
But it could have been a lot worse. But just make sure that you always have a weather radio handy or some way to access the weather so you can stay ahead of it and have your emergency action plan ready. And even if it's not tornado season or severe weather season, practice your emergency drills.
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jesse. Excellent words of wisdom. Laura, up there in Pennsylvania.
My final thoughts are be weather aware, have a multiple way to get warnings, and have a plan in place just in case severe weather does strike. You don't want to be caught off guard.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking about that schools are still in session up there, I was like, whoa, man. Imagine if some of those tornadoes had kind of come through in your area, when school was in session, I mean, what would your advice be to other parents with kids in school in severe weather?
My advice would be, while your children are in school, follow local media for any warnings or watches. And my kids' school, they used to do severe weather drills, but they no longer do them anymore. All the children would go into the hallway and take a book and put over their heads. But
Mhm.
my daughter and son said they haven't really done that in a couple years.
Wow.
And I'm going to be probably contacting the school and asking if they have a severe weather plan.
That's good. That's an excellent
Mhm.
advice that parents should do. Contact your kid's school, see what type of severe weather plans they have. That's really good. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Rob. Final words for this episode of Stormcast.
All right. So everybody talked about severe weather and what to do. I'm going to talk about hurricane season. As you know, it's coming up here on the 1st. Always make sure you have an emergency plan and a disaster kit, and get supplies early. As soon as
Yeah.
they issue an advisory, even all season, make sure you have supplies.
Especially
Yes.
during hurricane season, they put out a hurricane warning, and that's it. The store is wiped out.
Yes.
Yep,
I'm
exactly.
gonna follow up with what Rob said. Having lived in Miami, Florida for 7 years, usually the stores here the first week of June they will run a tax-free
Yep.
sale. Take advantage of that. I mean, if you're needing to buy a generator and you're getting tax free, I mean, that's almost like depending on what you get, you could be saving 50, $60.
Yep.
And on top of the sale that they're running. So definitely take advantage of that. Stock up on those batteries to power your weather radio, power your flashlights, things like that. Also, make sure that you think of other hazards outside of just the storm itself, long-term impacts from flooding like we've seen in Oklahoma. Review your insurance policies that you have. Make sure those are up to date and you have the coverage that you need depending on the type of area you live in. um, Going to be a new homeowner here myself, that was one thing that I, kind of took into account, was things of making sure, hail, wind, tornado, even hurricane coverage is available here in Atlanta, Georgia, inland, because inland with like Hurricane Irma and, those other landfalling hurricanes, as they move inland, they still do damage, even 300-400 miles inland. So
That's
make
right.
sure that any homeowners, you are aware of what your insurance covers, what it doesn't cover, and that you do have supplies to get you through at least 2 weeks after a storm. Because we're really gonna be. I like to think of really June and July as kind of the peak months, because you still have the severe weather season on. You've got the hurricane season coming in as well. Also, the flooding across the rivers is kind of near its peak still. So it's going to be a very busy June, I have a feeling. So be sure to stay with us here at Extreme Weather Videos. Thank you for watching this episode of Stormcast. Thank you all, Dan, Jesse, Laura, and Rob, for joining this episode and for being a part of it. And we'll see you all next time. Stay safe, experience the extreme with Extreme Weather Videos. Send us any pictures and videos that you guys get to us on Twitter using the hashtag EWVLive. Until next time, I'm your host, Joe, Tornado Joe. We'll see you guys next time. Stay safe out there. Take care.
Peace.